I wish I have done that last night. I wish.
Oh boy, here we go again. It's time for unhinged Jasmine to make a reappearance. And surprise, surprise, she's talking about f***ing her exes again.
I wish I could my exes because they were great.
I have no doubt about
They were a lot better than you.
I have no doubt about they being great, but what about you?
Yeah, me too.
Gino's arguing skills leave a lot to be desired. Now, before we dive into all this drama, before we dive into yet more outrageous Jasmine outbursts, let's start at the beginning. So we left Gino and Jasmine last week after ending their lovely trip to Miami on a terrible note. After holding on to the secret for months, Jasmine had finally decided to confess about her ex Dane's role in getting her butt implants.
I borrowed $2,000 from my ex-boyfriend Dane to get butt implant surgery. Gino was very upset, and it breaks my heart to know that I caused this.
Now, it's not clear how many days they've been back in Michigan, but it seems like Gino and Jasmine haven't properly talked about what Jasmine confessed. Because when we join them while they're making lunch, it's pretty apparent that Gino has some pent-up frustration. He's definitely harbouring resentment. And when Jasmine asks what's up, as if she doesn't already know, Gino finally shares what's on his mind. He asks Jasmine why she's still even talking to her ex Dane. And more to the point, what does Dane expect in return for this money he's given you, he asks.
Nothing, because he is an altruist person. He does charity. It was like charity.
$2,000 is a lot of money. Gino just isn't buying the excuse that it's been given to her as a gift. And I'd say his instincts are pretty spot on. There's something that doesn't seem to add up. But if Jasmine isn't ready to be completely honest, well, there isn't really much he can do. I don't see him ending this relationship. Do you? So at this point, he just resorts back to asking, why are you even still talking to Dane?
I'm still talking to
Which is
him
ridiculous.
because he's a good friend.
You guys gotta stop
He's
talking.
a good person. Just don't bring the exes. That makes me moody.
Gino's asked Jasmine multiple times now to stop talking about Dane out of respect for him. But the problem is, Jasmine always brushes off those requests by saying Dane's just a good friend, they're doing nothing wrong. But exes in general are a very sensitive topic for Jasmine, and now that Gino's brought it up, she's gonna do her best to flip the conversation and make herself out to be the victim.
When you have contacted your exes was, for example, to send naked pictures of me. That was part of my privacy.
It's obvious that Jasmine has never forgiven Gino for what went down all those years ago. And quite rightly too, she shouldn't. It was a really messed up thing to go through. It cost her her job. It's shaped her life in ways she would have never imagined. It's meant that ever since, she's been entirely reliant on Gino for money.
We are talking about my real life, my job, my career was just ruined because of this person and Gino's stupid mistake. I blame Gino.
Notice how this conversation has been completely flipped on its head to talk about Gino's rather than Jasmine's exes. Jasmine has deliberately, masterfully brought up Gino's old mistakes to make him look and feel bad. That way he has less of a leg to stand on about Dane. But we know that Gino has never really been good at arguing in the heat of the moment. And as a result, he puts his foot in it. He says something that just pours fuel on the fire.
Did you say anything to provoke it?
What did you say?
Did you say anything to provoke the fight?
No, Gino, don't go there. What happened to Jasmine was literally a crime. Regardless of how you feel about Jasmine, and by no means is she a fan favourite, but the non-consensual spreading of her photos was a crime. It was illegal. So don't ask her whether or not she did something to provoke it, to deserve it, because that is kind of what Gino's asking here in a roundabout way.
She was making fun of me, insulting my physical appearance. She was making ugly comments about my the ones that you send and she look at.
You can pretty much see the steam coming out of Jasmine's ears. She's furious, but her strategy has worked. The whole Dane conversation has now taken a back seat. It seems forgotten because Gino's come off sounding like he's defending his ex for what she did to Jasmine. And we all know that's a big no-no. We all know how Jasmine feels about not being Gino's number one.
And you are really asking me if I provoke her?
Calm down.
What the is wrong with you? All the
Stop
trauma
getting
I
out of control.
went through.
It's weird that this conversation is even happening. Surely Gino and Jasmine must have talked about this over and over again in the years since it happened. Gino must know how traumatic it was for Jasmine, so the stance he's taking right now feels like it's in retaliation, feels like it's a way to hurt her for the pain she's caused him with Dane. But as we all know by now, Jasmine is never one to be outdone.
I wish I have done that last night. I wish.
And here we have it again. This is the classic Jasmine go-to move. Every time she really wants to hurt Gino, every time she really wants to cut deep, she taunts him about how great her sex was with Dane, how badly she misses sleeping with him. But the thing is, at this point, it's starting to get predictable. I mean, it was shocking the first time she said it, but now it doesn't really have the same impact. It doesn't have the same shock factor. And Gino isn't backing down, but he seems to get in a bit of a mix-up with his words.
I wish I could my exes because they were great.
I have no doubt about
They were a lot better than you.
I have no doubt about they being great, but what about you?
Yeah, me too. Yeah, me too.
Wait, what? I think Gino's got himself confused. Don't agree with her. She's insulting you. She's ridiculing your bedroom skills. This whole conversation is no longer a conversation. It's a screaming match about whose ex was better in bed. So Jasmine storms upstairs to cry about how she no longer wants to marry Gino. It seems like she's conveniently forgotten how this all started in the first place. Not even 5 minutes ago, she was the one taking responsibility for her actions.
It's my fault. This time, I screwed up. It's completely my fault.
Yeah, that was only 5 minutes ago, but now the fight has completely derailed. Gino has become the bad guy again. Jasmine is painting herself out to be the victim. But their argument just isn't constructive. They're not talking about the original issue, and as a result, they're not getting anywhere. So Gino realises they need to cool off and try again.
But this is typical in our relationship. Normally, Jasmine is okay if you give her enough time to cool off. That's what I think I need to do now is let her chill out, and I can talk to her later.
It's good to see that Gino has finally figured out how to deal with Jasmine when she loses control of her emotions. That is, believe it or not, growth for their relationship. Now, after half an hour passes, Gino makes the move to try again. He knows he's got a right to be angry about Dane, but he also knows he was in the wrong for what he said. So, with his tail between his legs, he begins the conversation with an apology.
So I'm sorry that I upset you. From what I was saying, I didn't mean to upset you.
Look, Gino was trying to make a point about exes, but whatever point he was making got lost in the sauce. After the pointless argument they just had, Gino's showing here that he can be the bigger man. He has no problem apologising first. He acknowledges that he said something wrong, and in turn, Jasmine also apologises back.
It's a very sensitive subject, and I know it still hurts.
It is.
But I have done
things to you. I'm sorry.
Now, not only is Jasmine ready to apologise, but she's also ready to take responsibility for her actions. She apologises for ever having that last final date with her ex, the date that, as you probably recall, was on Valentine's Day. And what's more, she also apologises for asking Dane for money.
Making that be an excuse why I accepted $2,000 when in my heart I know that I was wrong.
And that right there is the crux of the situation. Jasmine can say that Dane is her friend all she wants, but at the end of the day, she wouldn't have kept it secret from Gino if she didn't know that what she was doing was shady. Now, for me, the best part to come out of this fight is the fact that Gino stood his ground. Even after all of Jasmine's hysterics, all of her attempts to shock and anger him, he's stuck to his guns. He lets Jasmine know that he's not okay with this behaviour.
I know that my ex hurt you, but, the fact that you're talking to your ex, that hurts me.
Yeah, this is precisely why the conversation blew up into an argument in the first place, because Jasmine seems to think she has the right to play by different rules. She thinks it's okay to ban Gino from ever mentioning his ex-wife, while all the while she's happily going on Valentine's dinner dates with her ex and accepting money for a new butt. The hypocrisy is off the scales. So how does she justify this? What excuse does she make? Well, she says that she knows that her relationship with Dane is innocent, whereas Gino's exes have proved not to be innocent in the past. In her mind, this means this isn't a double standard. But she loses all credibility by constantly talking about how she wants sex with Dane. So how does she react when Gino asks her to finally cut all contact with Dane?
I know that I'm not doing anything wrong by being friends with them, but I think he's right.
You can text him it, you can leave a voicemail message, however you want to do it.
Jasmine is being so dramatic about this. She's really making this out to be some huge sacrifice that she's making for Gino. But this is something that she should have done ages ago. And more to the point, I'm not really sure that I believe her when she says she and Dane had this great close friendship. Like, we've seen who Jasmine is really close with. We've seen her with her sisters. We've seen her with her close best friends. It's those guys who are really her support system, not Dane. Dane's more plan B, isn't he? He's the fallback option. He's the one that she wants to keep around just in case things don't work out with Gino. Only she's now weeks away from her wedding. She's in another country, so she shouldn't have a fallback option at this point. So eventually, almost begrudgingly, she says that Gino is her priority and she's ready to let Dane go.
I just wanted to say thank you for being such an amazing human being. You are such a good friend. However,
She's really laying it on thick here, isn't she? But wait, what's this? Before Jasmine starts to record her voice message, we catch a glimpse of her chat history with Dane. She received a message from him that very morning saying, "Hey babe." Now, sure, it's nothing compromising, but it does make you question just how much do she and Dane message each other? Is this a daily occurrence? Is Gino aware? This just proves how long overdue this voice note is.
I am leaving you this message to let you know that we won't be able to communicate because, as you might understand, I want to make Gino my priority.
Jasmine starts off strong, but then she starts going on a long-winded explanation as to why she's doing this. She tells Dane that because he's a man, he might understand the situation. He too wouldn't want his partner to be as close to her ex as Jasmine is with him, right? That says a lot really, doesn't it? Either way, as she continues on and on with this voice note, it starts to feel as if she's doing her best to make Gino look and feel bad for what he's making her do.
And even though you know that we are just friends, we have always been just good friends. I'm doing this because I want to show to Gino how much I love him.
What Gino's asked Jasmine to do is normal and is totally understandable. No one wants an ex lurking around in the shadows. But here's Jasmine subtly implying that she's only doing this because Gino demanded that she do it. She's maintaining that she knows, apparently, that their relationship is completely innocent. So that does make you wonder how committed she is to this.
It is time for us to act like two adults and put our exes behind. The best way.
I agree. I don't want that tension between us.
That is what Gino's been trying to do, Jasmine, but you're the one that's been hanging on to your ex. Look, there's a very large part of me that's very suspicious as to whether or not Jasmine even sent that message, or whether she deleted it as soon as she could. I guess we won't find out anytime soon, but it seems to have done the trick with Gino. He seems completely happy to trust her again.
Our exes are dead to us. They die.
Yes.
Good.
Please.
So, despite the screaming and the fighting, today actually hasn't been a complete disaster. They've managed to navigate past a huge fight, and they've both been empathetic, understanding, and honest, I think. Hopefully, this will be the last we ever have to hear about Dane. But if history tells us one thing, it's that I probably wouldn't hold your breath on that.